Hey folks, Lexi here. I would like to start off this video by sincerely apologizing to the tarot community at large. Um, I want to say that I'm sorry that I didn't start this channel sooner. Yeah, I'm getting under some people's skin. I am ruffling some feathers. So, before before we get into how I tarot, I just kind of wanted to make a little statement. A little statement. Um, if you can't relate to my humor, if you only want to do things the way they've always been done, and if you can't make fun of yourself, this is not a safe space for you. Please continue to live in your hug box, because I want to challenge people. Um, don't don't watch my videos. Please keep your peace. But if you want to laugh, if you want to expand your autonomy being the key word there, if you want to expand your autonomy in this space and keep up with all the happenings of TarotTube, please hang with me. Please stick with me because it's a good time over here. If you get offended, I do apologize. That's never my intent. But in this case, intent doesn't really matter, now does it? I do sincerely apologize if I've hurt anyone's feelings. If you saw some truth in my snark, please know that I'm not going to stop anytime soon. I will gladly uplift other creators, but I'm also not going to be punching down. Uh, when you make critiques, you punch up, you don't punch down. All right, let's get into how I tarot. I feel it necessary to differentiate two situations, two environments in which I'll sling the old cards. I do about 40% of my reading outside of the home, whether it be at bars, cafes, the library, at a Christmas work party for some reason, at work. I do have a little drawer at work where I keep a couple of decks, maybe three or four. I also do deck-in work at my job because it's visible, and obviously I have, oh gosh, I have some deck-in stuff back there as well. Although this would be my home deck-in altar, and then my work deck-in altar, which I don't feel comfortable taking a picture of, just because there are a lot of sensitive information and pictures of dogs and my nephews. But I will insert a picture of my little tarot drawer that I have at work, which I love so much. And then about 60% of the time, I'm reading in this room here, and those are the two scenarios in which I read. When I first started my tarot journey, my tarot practice, if you will, we're going to get into the word practice in just a moment. But when I first started out learning and studying tarot, I didn't want to spend a lot of time at home. I was going through a lot of emotional stuff, so I wanted to be out of my home. I wanted to go to the library and check out books, and I would stay at the library and I would study and journal and, learn how to shuffle, because that was one of the first things I really wanted to learn how to do. I wasn't reading, but I was trying to break a deck in. I was trying to figure out, because I'm a little bit clumsy with my hands. Um so I feel pretty comfortable reading out in public. It had never been a taboo thing for me. And I also will typically only use one deck at a time, as opposed to multiple decks that I would use here in my home. Now, I also really don't care about rarity, out of print status, that kind of thing. I'll bring an indie deck out in public without worrying, not have any qualms about, like, ooh, am I gonna. I'm not especially precious with my decks. I mentioned last time that I love some beat up, roughed up decks, because it shows character and it shows that you're enjoying and getting use out of a purchase, out of an investment. So, going back to the word practice, when I first started out with tarot, when I first got into tarot tube, when I first, people would throw around this word practice, and I didn't really like it at first. I was just like, practice, practice. And then I sat with it for a little bit and I was just like, you know what? This is a practice actually. I'm I'm practicing my shuffling. I'm practicing reading these cards. I'm practicing getting more comfortable with talking to people about said cards. Um and it, I've turned the page on that thinking. I love the word practice because it really does sum up very nicely what you're doing, right? Um, so this goes into the flow state, right? I'm sure everybody is familiar with the flow state. I can do this at home, I can do this at work, or I can do this in a bar. Typically, what I'll do is I will focus on the question, and when I'm out and about, I keep it pretty simple. I'm not doing a Celtic cross in a bar. It's just, you know, a high top is just not gonna gonna work out. So I limit it to a uh, one card reading, two card reading, or my favorite like three card spreads. I love a good past, present, future. A lot of people enjoy those. A go to three card spread for me is going to be embrace, accept, ignore. I always utilize that particular three card spread because I think it ties things up real nicely. And then what's my other one? I keep a little book here. Um, I don't ever use this reading for myself, but I have a little moleskin notebook that I take with me everywhere that lives in my purse that has different ideas for spreads and that kind of stuff. But people love love a love career and personal progress reading. I actually recently did a couple of readings for my hairstylist who's become a good girlfriend of mine. I had just gotten my hair done and she texted me like an hour or so later and she's like, hey, could you pull some cards for me real quick? And I did uh, two readings for her back to back, and I sent it to her and we were texting over it and I just saw her not too terribly long ago and I asked her, I said, hey, so how was the reading? I'd never heard back from you. And she's like, girl, it was accurate but I didn't want it to be accurate. I was like, okay, public, um, for for strangers, for people I don't know, and for coworkers at the office Christmas party, which I did get paid for, so technically I am a paid reader, if you can believe that. Um, I will often preface my readings by telling them, "Hey, I'm not a fortune teller. I'm not a soothsayer. Um, you can take it or leave it if it resonates. Not a fan of that word. If it resonates with you, then please, by all means, do what you will with this reading. But at the end of the day, I'm a storyteller. I am weaving these cards together to see if something sticks, to see if something hits for you, not for me. I have been in situations, like I said, at Christmas parties where I'm getting like 5, 10, 12 people back to back to back. And again, with these super duper easy one card reading, two card reading, a simple three card spread, that kind of thing. Uh, it is so draining and taxing on you, like physically and mentally. People who do like fairs or people who do like marathon reading all day, 6 hour kind of affairs. I have mad respect for you. I think that is so flippin' awesome because I think the longest I've ever read is maybe an hour and a half, just in succession, one right after the other, right after the other. And you have people crying. And I'm like, Susie Q, I gotta see you at work on Tuesday. I don't wanna I don't wanna have to deal with this. Because I will also, along with prefacing my readings by telling them, hey, I'm not a fortune teller, I also let them know you do not need to tell me your question. I do not need to know your question at all. That kind of saves my ass a little bit because I don't want anyone thinking like I told them that their mother who just took a nasty fall is going to get better, right? I don't want them, that's not what I answered. I'm completely it's oblivious to me. I don't know what you asked. I think for me in my tarot ethics, I feel fine about not knowing the question. And I said, hey, if you want to tell me the question, that's fine too. I give them the option. I really want If I give you a reading, I want you to know that all of the power, all of the insight and wisdom, that's for you. That's not for me. I am a storyteller. I am making sure you get from point A to point B, left to right. Yeah? And back to my little work drawer. What is it? The Modern Witch. Cardstock is trash. We can all admit that. We can all acknowledge it. But let me tell you, it's the perfect work deck because I don't care how ratty or tatty or crisp up or whatever. It's perfect because, I have lots of sharp tools, lots of water, lots of coffee, lots of dog hair going around. So the thicker the cardstock, the better. Now, it's still a pain in the ass to shuffle, even at work, but it is such a good work deck. I don't think that anyone. There's a lot of talk about cardstock, and while it is very important, and I acknowledge that, sometimes you just need to find the appropriate environment for a deck to really shine. I love how diverse the deck is. Now they're all women, right? Or female presenting. Um, so that not so diverse in that aspect, but it's a really good deck, and I know a lot of people dislike it. I get it. I disliked it too at a certain point, but it's like, I wanted to build my own little work tarot station, and I was just like, screw it, I'm not using it here, take it to work. And now I get so much use out of it. It's a really good deck. But that's about everything I kind of wanted to mention as far as me reading outside in public. I i i really do enjoy it. A lot of times I've been stopped by randoms, by strangers, or regulars at my favorite local watering hole, and like, oh yeah, that's the gal that reads tarot. Can I ask you a tarot question? Absolutely, please. I'm an open book as far as that's concerned. I have such enthusiasm and such love for tarot that I could talk to anybody, even if they think it's, the tool of the devil or whatever. But yeah, that's about all I can say as far as reading outside of the home. Again, like I said, just the one deck because I'm not lugging around multiple decks. As you will see when I get into how I read at home, it's a little bit different. All right, but let's move into that right now, shall we? Reading at home, for me, I am setting a deliberate scene, right? I am getting my. I have this old white, I don't know, side table. It was. I'll find. I'll find a picture of like my first like big girl apartment here in Portland, and it was so cute. And I have this beautiful green velvet chair with this small white desk, little side table that I use for tarot. I used it then, and I still use it now, and it's one of my favorite little tarot accessories. So I have this white table, and I showed you all of my cloths, all of my beautiful cloths. So in a given month, I will try to work with at least 7 decks, and I'll add or subtract, seeing how the month will take me. I won't show what I'm working with currently this month. I'm saving that for my end of January kind of monthly wrap up or what have you. So I will talk a little bit about what I used in the month of December since I didn't do one of those. So I like to pair decks by theme, by color, by style, that kind of thing. I really wanted to work with turning terrestrial tides, and I thought the Cult of Weimar would work really well with that. But I thought there was something missing, like I just needed a little something, like a little extra salt or a little extra cayenne. So I got to thinking to myself, and I was like, you know what would go great with this? The theme of green and German, my German Thoth greenie. So I did that. I picked a lovely, I believe, checkerboard cloth for that. Um, and like I said, it's all about setting the scene, setting the stage for this play. of tarot. Um, so now you might be asking yourself, three tarot decks? That seems like a lot of different energies. Yeah, it is. And it's so much fun. It's so fabulous. So I do understand it might be a little jarring to some people, but pair tarot and tarot, pair oracle and oracle, pair as many decks as you want because it's really fun and it gets you using your collection, right? That's why I will at least always try to pair two decks. The only time I'll only use a single deck is when I'm out and about in public and I'm not it's too much. Where am I going to put the boxes? It's a nightmare. Um but at home, it's a little bit different because I can be creative. I can add this deck or subtract this deck, and it's quite fun. But going back to that reading, with the three cards, the Turning Terrestrial Tides, German Thothgrini, and the Cult of Weimar Tarot. So it might feel a little daunting to pair three tarot decks together. Like, well, where's the focal point? If you're a seasoned enough reader, reading for yourself, you should almost immediately know when you lay your cards out what that focal point is. With those three decks, I knew immediately that the death card was the focal point. And the two off to the side, I believe it was the Nine of Swords and the Sun. What a powerful, profound reading that was for me. And it only makes me want to pair odder combinations. What is it? When I talk to you about setting the scene, I talk to you about my little table and my cloths and, my little crystals and things like that. But I also need to kind of get into the mind space of that reading. I need to mentally prepare myself. So I will light an incense. Oh goodness. I'm currently burning right now the Sacred Mist Protection. It smells lovely. And that's just, I knew making this video would be a little, some would be looking for it and, you know, hmm, hmm. So I got my table, I got my cloth, I got my decks, I'm shuffling, and then that's where we go and I talk about that flow state again. I will stop what I'm doing, I will close my eyes, and I will repeat the question and the spread in my head over and over and over as I'm shuffling. So I don't knock it or hit it or ring any bells or do anything like that. I just really, really focus. I close my eyes, I shuffle, and then I don't, as far as jumpers go, I will occasionally take them, but most of the time I don't. But there's a feeling. Like there have been times when I'm just like, okay, can we read? And I'm just like, no, you can't read because it doesn't feel right. You will feel it in your hands. Okay, now I can lay this card out. And then once all of the cards are laid out, I do not turn them over when I lay them down. I want to look at the backs and I want to continue to focus on that question, repeating it in my head over and over and over again, and also repeating the spread. So, oh goodness, embrace, accept, ignore. So, I want to say I'll pop up some pictures where I have clearly labeled what the positions are because I know that's very, very helpful. But sometimes I have no I have no spread in my head that rhymed. But having your go-to spreads is extremely helpful, especially when you're on the go, especially when you read in public, because people people know the one card reading, right? Like, oh, death, I'm gonna die. And it's just like, no, dude. But having, you can craft a story with one card, right? But having other cards, having better vocabulary, just enhances that story. So when you talk to people or when you're talking to yourself, really think about, okay, do I want to do a Celtic cross today? God bless you if you do, because mama, that's a lot of work and a lot of laying of cards. Like for me, a Celtic cross would probably take about 40 minutes because it's very, very involved and I want to give it the respect that it kind of deserves. I love a good elemental spread. That's one of my another favorite of mine. But going back to the reading and going back to the flow state, I also like to have like an instrumental album on. Either I'm listening to the record or I have my headphones on. I don't want anything where I'm thinking about the words or I want to, bop along to it. I just want to focus, close my eyes, and shuffle. Let's see here. Now, I do a little bit of deity work. That is extremely it's extremely private and extremely sensitive to me. I can talk a little bit about that now. When I am doing deity work, when I am doing goddess work, I do ring some bells. I do the more witchy woo woo kind of stuff. And typically, I will use a deck that is dedicated. I don't work with multiple deities. I work with one deity, and I'm interested in branching out. I'm interested in perhaps potentially bringing another deity, and I know exactly who I'd like it to be, but I don't know if I don't want to disrespect the relationship that I've already built with my preferred deity, so I don't want to add one just yet. But let me tell you, I see some of these people deity hopping. I see some of these people deity hopping, and I'm a little bit jealous. I'm a little bit curious, but I'm also like, oh no, I don't think I can do that. That's not something that I'd be interested in doing right now. Now things can change. Like I said, I did kind of poo-poo the word and the notion of a practice until I was really in it. And then I was just like, no, this is a practice. You are practicing. Uh but as far as like deity work goes, that's something that's very involved. I need to be in the right headspace. I need to come correct with that deity, to that deity. There's also albums that I will listen to that are dedicated to that specific deity. Obviously, I believe I've mentioned it before. Artemis, Diana, that is my chosen deity. I don't know if I believe in that. Did I choose her? Or did she choose me? Who knows? Who knows? All right. I don't know if there's anything else that I would think to bring up and how I tarot or what I do. Oh, I'm lying. I'm lying. There is something. So this one, I had mentioned working with these two decks and working with them a card at a time, and that is what I do. So I'm going to be very careful not to mess anything up here. All right. Like I said, the Morgan's Tarot and Supernova. So with the Morgan's Tarot, this are the two decks here. The Morgan's Tarot wasn't always paired with the Supernova. In fact, it used to be paired with the Morgan Greer Tarot. It was paired with Morgan Greer for quite some time until I had finished working with Morgan's Tarot working with Morgan Greer one at a time. So, oh goodness, how do I do this? So when I work with a card one by one, I've used Temperance. Temperance is no longer in the mix. I've used the Four of Pentacles. Four of Pentacles is no longer in the mix. So on and so forth. So once I'm done with this card, I put it in the front of the deck. So you can see here. These are all the cards that I have used. These cards are done. I will no longer be mixing and shuffling those in the deck. This is now my working deck of Supernova. These are the cards that I have to pick from, right? So when I use these two together, oh goodness, now I'm confusing myself. God damn it, I shouldn't have done this. Okay, hang on. Okay, I think I figured it out. See, this is real time, folks. So these are the two. This is what I have to work with. So when I shuffle, and I do, so this is going to sound silly. I do it at least every week, but not always. Sometimes I will do it once every 2 weeks. It just, whenever the mood strikes, I will come into my tarot room, and I do a little ritual. I keep saying do, and I'm such a child. I'm like do. Um, and it's actually up there. I will come into this room right before I go to work, and I get up very early in the morning. I get up at like 4:30 in the morning. So we're talking about, I've had my first cup of coffee. I come into the tarot room, and then I get out the decks, and then I will recite the entire zodiac in my head as I'm shuffling. I don't know why I do this. I've always done it. It makes no sense. I don't, but I'll say it in my head 3 times. And after the third time, that's when I have my card from the supernova, right? And then after that, after I pick my tarot card, I should also let you know that Morgan's tarot is not a tarot. It is a strange little little oracle deck from, like, I don't know. It feels very 70s to me, but I absolutely love it. It's one of the best oracles that I own. So I put up my Supernova Tarot, which I have a card stand up there for it. I'm not going to take pictures of that because I have more personal deity veneration kind of stuff that I'd like to kind of keep private. So I currently have the King of Wands. No, excuse me, the Page of Wands. I currently have the Page of Wands sitting up there from the Supernova Tarot. So after I've pulled that card, after I've recited the zodiac signs in my head 3 times, I will then ask the Morgan's Tarot, because I know what that particular card is because I set it up. I will ask the Morgan's Tarot, how do I work with the Page of Wands? How do I better embrace the Page of Wands? Whether that be for today, whether it be for this week, that kind of thing. And then I think, funnily enough, I got as above, so below. So I thought that was kind of poignant. And with these weekly kinds of readings, I like to think about it. Like, as I walk to the train, right? As I walk to the train, I'll think about it. Or I like to do week ahead readings as well, and that just depends on whatever little collection of decks that I've picked for that particular month. But yeah, I don't know if you have any questions about how I tarot. Please ask me. I'm an open book. I can let you know exactly. Now, if it's personal stuff, like I do, I don't want to say it's ancestor work, because I do readings throughout the year to kind of connect with my mother, or what have you. I do that. I don't do inner child work because I had a lot of therapy as a child, so I'm good. I'm good in that front. Shadow work, I think, is best explored with a therapist. I don't think that you could do that kind of stuff on your own. If you're doing it and it works for you, I'm so very happy for you. And for me and my family, I wouldn't do shadow work, because Lord knows I'm doing shadow work every day on my damn own without the cards doing anything. And I'm trying to think of anything else that would be pertinent to mention. Anyway, I think that is it. I think that's it. Please let me know if you have any questions, and for the love of all things holy, if you don't like the snark, please stay away. I'm not going to change for anyone, and you're not going to run me off. Yeah. I hope you guys had a fun time watching today's video. I am sorry that it's a little late. God, life has just been kind of getting in the way lately. Trying to tie up some loose ends before a very, very big trip next week. My birthday is next week, and I am going to New York, baby. Anyway, I hope you had a fun time. Please stick around if you like the personality, if you like the channel, if you want to talk tarot without anybody telling you how to do it or how not to do it, because we can all have opinions, and this space is big enough for all of us. Bye, folks.